We're still here at Blockchain Money, and I'm joined by Keone. And Keone, I wonder if you could give us a little bit about your background before telling us a bit more about your company.
Yeah, Synechron, sure. So I got into Bitcoin about 5 years ago, quite early on.
Wow.
Yeah, and I transitioned into working for blockchain.info, which is the world's largest Bitcoin wallet and sort of the Google of the blockchain. You can find transactions and hashes and everything like that on their website. And then from there, I decided to move into the more traditional finance and working with banks on how they're going to start implementing blockchain technology and fintech into their sort of world and sort of their landscape. And that's where Synechron comes in. So what Synechron has done is they've developed 6 what we're calling blockchain accelerators, and these are areas in traditional finance that currently exist and currently are ripe for disruption. So what we've done is we actually made 6 working demos that we show banks and we show various clients on how they can actually start implementing blockchain technology in their current digital landscape.
And what sort of take-up are you seeing in terms of banks and blockchain technology and your products? You've said 6. Which ones are popular and what do people like?
So banks are really interested in this, first of all. More interested than you would think.
Oh, great.
And out of our 6, we have trade finance, mortgage lending, KYC, insurance claims, smart margins, and global payments. Out of those 6, KYC is really, really resonating with the bankers, obviously. And trade finance. So trade finance, there's a lot of individual participants and a lot of participants that need to trust each other, and trusting each other is quite expensive. So what our accelerator's done by putting these trade finance chains on the blockchain and smart contracts, we're disintermediating trust and making it a lot cheaper for these institutions. The same with KYC. What we built with a KYC tool is essentially a marketplace for KYC information. So a bank one onboards a customer, for instance. In the traditional sense, that KYC information is completely siloed and owned by that bank. And if that customer goes somewhere else, they need to go through that same onboarding process again and again and again. And this is a very expensive process, and it's a process with a lot of friction for the customer. In our KYC marketplace, what we have is a bank onboards a new customer, adds their KYC record into a smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain, which is encrypted and hashed, so it can't be publicly read. Then let's say that same customer goes to a different firm, opens a different bank account, does some sort of KYC trigger. They don't have to go through the onboarding process again. The second institution can buy a subscription to their KYC record from the first institution, and then it's shared across the board. So it's that simple, yeah.
And sorry, you mentioned accelerators. I was just wondering, I didn't know if it was me. He just keep edging away from me. I'm thinking, what have I done? He doesn't like me. And so you just to go back here, you've mentioned that you're an accelerator. Obviously, I'm working with an accelerator myself. Is that a word that has a broad meaning in your company?
Yeah, it's not the accelerator in the traditional sense where we're bringing in external kind of companies or startups and trying to help them build out their tools. We've actually built these tools out ourselves with our own tech company. We have 6,000 tech guys. We have a lot of business consultants who are subject matter experts all around the various accelerators here, like trade finance or KYC. So they've been working in institutions and banks for many years, have a lot of information about that. They work with our tech team and our digital departments to actually create these accelerators from the ground up ourselves. So what we do with these accelerators are, again, we serve most of the largest banks in the world. All those banks tend nowadays to have innovation departments or labs internally. And they've all been tasked, almost all of them have been tasked with doing blockchain things. They may not know exactly what that means, and they may not know exactly where to start. And the idea of these accelerators are not necessarily to sell these as a product, but to sell them as an idea for these innovation departments in the banks, for the banks themselves to see, okay, this is a real working demo, this is a real working product around a problem that we have, and we can implement this today.
That's really interesting. And may I ask, are you based here in London, or are you?
Yeah, we actually have a global footprint. We're all over the world. We have our office here in London, and we have a headquarters in New York.
Great.
Yeah.
And so you're based here in London,
Yeah,
right?
I'm based in London. I work in the digital department, which is about 50 guys, I would say, around there, distributed around the world. And again, on the digital side, we focus on innovation. We focus on blockchain right now is a big one, but AI is kind of our second area that we're starting to look at, and kind of how you fuse the two together potentially in the future. Yeah.
I'm not going to take up any more of your time because I can see there's quite a few people wanting to talk to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Cheers.
Take care.